Hello everyone and welcome to a brand new episode of Women of Arabia. Women of Arabia is a platform where we showcase women across all parts of Arabia who, with their sheer determination, passion and dedication, they have carved a niche and they have created their dreams into reality. And today, in conversation with us is Cecilia Reinaldo. She is the CEO of homeownersdirect.co, HOD.co.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Cecilia, for being part of Women of Arabia.
Yeah, my pleasure.
So, we start with, what exactly is HOD.co?
HOD.co, it stands for Homeowners Direct.
Okay.
We are a marketplace where property owners can meet directly with buyers and tenants, and bring them together will save them commission.
Ah, all right. So you're trying to bring without the middleman.
True.
Okay, fine. Are you the middleman?
Well, the internet is the middleman now. I think that's the reality.
That's true.
And whoever is in the middle now, they need to bring value. And if they bring value, they should be compensated. But when it comes to real estate, this is always a very gray area, because a lot of people, if they could, they would prefer to meet direct with the landlord or the owner and do that deal direct, especially because the documentation, the process is very standardized now, so it's quite easy to do that.
Yes, that's true. Even for looking for, let's say, to rent an apartment, we always look at options where if it's directly from the owner.
It's naturally,
there.
right?
Yeah, that's true. So how long before did you set up HOD, and were you always in real estate business?
Yeah, so I've been in the real estate business since 2004. So I've seen the good and the bad. And I listened to consumers over all these years, their the joys of the money they made and the sadness of the money they lost, and all the emotions that went through that process. And I think a couple of years ago, 2016, I realized that with technology developing, with the processes of transacting getting easier, why not give property owners and buyers and tenants that option to connect? That was not here in this market, so we thought that was the right time. And in any business, people should have options. I think if they want to use a broker, because whether they have a good relationship or they don't have the time to source things on their own. But we are in challenging times. Every dirham counts. And when you think about property, it's not just the actual commission aspect. When you're renting a house, you're buying a house, you're going to go through a lot of processes. It's an ecosystem of time and money you're going to spend within the property. So we also bring what we call an expert community with cleaning companies all the way to legal advice, who at a discounted rate can also provide you those services that you no doubt are going to need to use throughout your rental or through managing your property.
So you've got lots of other elements also involved in
Correct.
HOD.
Yes.
So what exactly, when you started this concept, did you just think about it as just an app, or what are the rest of the things that goes into HOD? I
think the concept came more from a feedback from the consumers. And even though I have managed really well-known companies here, I always felt that the dynamics of the market here were not necessarily giving people what they want. I think the whole discussion of commission is something that is quite blurred still. Should the buyer pay? Should the seller pay? And I think, again, the lack of choice for the user to empower themselves and do things on their own was not there in real estate. People will go to certain department stores and buy a bed and build them by themselves. They will post their car online and sell it by themselves. Why not real estate? And if you own a property, you know it better than anybody else, right? So who is better to sell your own home than you? It's your emotional investment, it's your time, and everything that you put through come out in that process.
You did mention that the commission thing is kind of like a gray area.
Mm-hmm.
Is it generally the scenario worldwide, or is it just
No, it's quite interesting, and it's not something that comes as a directive from the government, it's just the way the market developed. The government always been very empowering the market to regulate itself. But if you go back to the US and if you go back to the UK, for example, who tends to pay the commission is the seller or the landlord. Why? Because they have an asset and they need somebody to provide a service to market the property. So that fee can get justified. But when you think about buyers and tenants, logically, they should not be paying the fees. But the dynamic of the market position them to pay those fees. So now it's getting to a time with again, technology, access to social media, the people are seeking to connect with the owners directly if they can and save on that fee, because it's a lot of debate whether is it worth the money they pay for the service they get. And I think for the people that think that, I can save on that money and use to pay my school fees or go on a holiday, they will take the time to try to do that by yourself. And I think it's time as well for people to connect. How many people have moved to properties and never actually met the landlord or spoken to the landlord? And then 2-3 months down the line, the house is falling apart, they don't know who the guy is, and vice versa. So I think we all need to take accountability for the things we want. So if you want to save money, if you want to have the safeness of knowing who you're dealing on the other side, and vice versa, right? This is what our marketplace brings, is that connection.
Okay, and when you decided to start HOD, have you at any point before that had any other businesses, or this is your first venture into business?
No, I've been involved in different business within the real estate. I worked for different companies. I was partner in a company myself. But I think it was a calling, because when you are in a sales environment, it's a very ruthless environment. And I always used to come home at night and think, what? Was that the best advice that was given? Is the client satisfied with the service? And it's something that I was always questioning all the time. But I don't blame, because when you're in a sales environment, you're commission driven. People make decisions based also on their own personal needs. And it's a very gray area whether people are getting the right advice or not. I think 4 years ago, I was in the UK on a conference, and I started to notice that even the UK market was moving from the high street brokerage to what they call online estate agency. So that was really moving from the fixed commission fees to like a set priced on a much lower grade, and people are really enjoying that benefit, because the commissions on top of potentially your mortgage fees, your transfer fees, it adds up a lot of cash. So when I realized that the market was evolving to an online type of hybrid setup, I just thought, right, I think we can go a bit further and remove totally the state agency part and give people the same marketing tools that the state agent necessarily would use to, let's say, sell a home, and provide that to the owner direct through connecting them with the buyers and the tenants.
Okay, and then how did you go about setting it up? You had a vision, and then...
Yeah, so I think,
that might be the hardest part.
No, I think I started to work on it actually took me 2 years to get the site up and running. Obviously, I had to put the investment, I had to work parallel to that, I had to find the right co-founders, people who add value, had the different expertise to bring this whole combination together. So it took me 2.5 years before I could actually leave what I was doing and actually launch this enterprise.
And that 2.5 years, did you even consider at any point? Because I'm sure things would have been difficult, ups and downs, market fluctuations, our own personal things added to it. At any point, did you think, oh no, that's it. It's so much easier going back to the cushion of a proper job?
100%. But I think I can tell you that what I've learned through this process is developing a fulfillment and happiness in developing something on your own that is priceless. So I actually had many, many months without having any income, against having worked and was in a comfortable position. I wouldn't change the experience I went through without, and that's what actually keeps driving, because when you're prepared to work for no money, when you're prepared to take that plunge and feel comfortable with it, then nothing can stop you, because what's the worst going to happen?
And especially for you, because you've got kids too, right? Because if it's just us on our own...
Oh yeah, it's much easier decision. Yeah. It's a much easier decision. Yes.
It'd be even more difficult being a mom, taking care of kids.
Yeah.
Oh wow. But then yes, it's the final goal. That's the most important thing.
I think you need to feel happy, and I think it sounds simple, but it's not, because I think a lot of people every day they go to jobs then they not necessarily like, the 5 o'clock they go home and have the weekend. I think you need to find what, I love to work. This is a hobby for me. I'm not going to work today. Actually, weekends, I get, okay, what are we going to do now?
I know.
You know? So it's something that I love. So I don't create a connection with, oh, I'm going to work. Oh, is it going to work? It's going to fail. It doesn't matter. It's what I love to do. Is built with me, you know. So my children and my business is the most important thing in my life, and it's good.
Yeah, it is. And Dubai is considered as a real estate market.
Hub, yes.
And how is the competition in general in terms of, you know, while you were working in real estate? Is it harder because so many real estate agencies, and do you really have to struggle?
I think, the market started really in 2003 to 2004, and the freehold came into place, and, you know, people saw amazing opportunity. And obviously we had global economies, recessions, and I think when people are dealing with property, they need to take a long-term view. The problem here, we got spoiled with the idea of buying something and selling the next day, but this is not realistic to any market.
Is it possible?
It was possible in the early days when the market was off plan. You had few buildings coming up. The hype and the ambition created really a bubble, and people did buy and did sell. You know, I've seen people making 3-4 times worth the property less than a year, and made a lot of money. But with that comes problems, right? It's not sustainable. Laws were still getting released and being adapted. So the market was running faster than the processes. Obviously, we had global recessions. It has affected Dubai. Now we have a lot of speculation where prices are going. Mortgages as well have been reduced in terms of people's ability to put down payments, and this have affected the pricing. So overall, you know, everybody's kind of waiting and see where things are going. But recession gives an opportunity to adapt. So the market has evolved, adapt. You see developers now being much more flexible. As before, you had to pay the whole amount of money up to the keys. Now they're giving you long amount of years to pay your property. So this is getting attractive again. But the UAE and Dubai and the vision, nobody can deny that is positive and is going somewhere. So I think that is always the security of having a property here, especially when you are migrating from countries where you are politically unstable and you don't see long-term development. And what they've done here is absolutely fantastic.
Yes, yeah, it is. And have you seen you've been here for, you said, 14 years now, around. And have you seen real estate, because of course there have been the recession and the ups and downs and everything. And what is the situation? Because there was once when it was the hub, real estate was it. And now is it down, is it up? And is there any chances of it going up?
I think it's this is my personal opinion rather than advice. I think since 2004, where the mortgage got restricted to a certain amount of percentage where you have to put down for first-time buyers, this definitely had put a lot of pressure on prices. We have still a lot of construction going on, so there's a lot of questions. But as a business, as a market, again, no one should look at real estate as a short-term exit. If you're buying something today, you need to have a long-term view, as simple as that. That's why you take in any other market. Why he is different? I think he is different because we got used to a position where you could buy and sell the next day.
But also because we're not, like most of the people here are expats, right?
Sure.
So probably they're not looking at, you know, staying here forever.
True. I mean, it's still there's a debate whether, you know, the amount you pay on a mortgage is better than actually paying rent. Yeah. So a lot of people would take that view, and maybe if they're going to live Dubai in the next 5 years, they'll think of selling the property by then. But even if they don't sell the property, keep them on rent, the returns that you get here is still extremely high compared to other markets. So we need to keep the positivity because the vision of 2020, 2030 is there. There is progress. Dubai is run as an enterprise, yes, a successful one. So I think we all love to live here, and what they are building, what they're creating, something outstanding. And we need to keep promoting that and be positive about it. Right. Markets are long-term projection. You can't make decisions on, you know, what's going to happen the next 6 months.
True. And as a woman setting up a business here, how has Dubai treated you?
Amazing. I think despite with, you know, when you go back home, people, oh, but you have to dress this way, you have to act this way.
So what's home? Where's home?
Home is Brazil. I know.
Okay.
Very far.
Yes.
You should come one time.
I should visit South America and especially.
I know.
Yes,
No, it's a beautiful country, but the bureaucracy, I mean, I would never be able to do what I'm doing here in a place like Brazil as of today. Bureaucracy, you have a lot of challenges to create a company. And again, I think the benefits of Dubai, you can set things here quite easily, you know. So I think today, with the technology that we have in place from a government point of view, from an individual point of view, I think women can do things from home, you know. You can get a virtual license and you can set up a cooking channel and off you go and on your business, you know. I think we never had a chance like we have today to do something for yourselves, you know. And I would love to see more women coming out, not being afraid about what the people think, not being afraid to fail. Who cares, you know? You have one life, live it, you know, and that's a great opportunity.
Right, and Dubai is adapting so beautiful in terms of, like you said, freelance visas being available now.
Sure.
You can there are lots of visa options for women especially.
Sure.
For them to go ahead and set something up. All you have to do is dream from then.
Yeah, start as a hobby, start as something you're very passionate about. You don't need to derive money from day one, and in any business is a long game. You don't think you're going to set up a business 6 months, you're going to be off on your boat. It's not going to happen, you know. No, but I think, you know, I meet a lot of entrepreneurs who think, you know, oh, next year I'm going to be like, no, you're not. It's going to take at least 5 or 6. Calm down. This is the reality. And we need to be conscious about it. It takes time to build a business. But do something you love. Don't think about money. Think about your passion. Think about what can you do to contribute to the community, because the community will give back. And then you can build things with time, you know.
I think that's when most businesses crumble, right?
Sure.
The first couple of years they crumble because it's not creating a dream, it's just, like you said, trying to make some money.
Yeah, if your focus is just money, it's very likely you're not going to succeed.
True.
Because the challenges, you know, there is the glam and what you can put on your social media about who you are in your position. That's great, and all the nice pictures you take. But, you know, the hustle of rejection, the hustle of every day having to adapt and change is not for a lot of people. And people very easily over a period of, that's what they say, 90%, 95%, I don't even know what the statistic is, of business fail on the first year.
Yeah.
And they do, because you need to put your skin in the game. You need to understand your relation as a leader to the employees you hire. You're always going to be the last one in line to succeed or to fail, you know. So you have to have certain skill base plus a good business plan, plus a good idea that you can validate, make sure people, they want to buy what you have, you know, because again, you can come up with lots of ideas, but if there's nobody to consume your product, your service, then you are likely not to make it as well.
Look at the need of the market and
absolutely
around it. Okay, so how many staffs do you have? How many employees? When you started, how many were there?
We started was just me developing this platform, and then I've met two of my today co-founders, one who has a very strong background in IT, and the other one who is a media mogul. So that kind of created a good combination, like the real estate with the IT and the media as a background. And then now we are scaling very fast because there's a good demand for what we're trying to do.
Yes, yeah, there is. So have you always been in real estate?
Pretty much. Not my whole life, but since I got to Dubai, I was hired by a company from Brazil so I worked 1 year on an FMCG job, logistics, because actually that's my background, international relations. And I know. And after a year, then I met someone who was starting a business, and we started a business together in real estate, and for that things developed.
All right, and you've always created, when your business was always in UAE?
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
okay.
yeah.
And while you were growing up, did you ever have that entrepreneurial bone in you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. My mom always tells me that I used to trade things in school, where I used to, as a baby, go to sleep by myself. I didn't need anybody to put me to sleep. So I always had this urge to I was very fortunate. I had a very good support system at home. My parents, I spent a lot of time with my grandparents, immigrants, children of immigrants from World War II. So they came to Brazil from farming all the way to the city. So they hustle, you know, from driving a taxi all the way to having good positions in companies. So they gave us a very good insight about ethics, values, hard work. You know, my grandparents, they worked until they could, you know, and that gave me, as a child, a very good understanding that working hard pays off. It takes time. And I think as I had the opportunity to engage in work, I think I was 15, I started to teach English back home. And from there I worked in hospitality, all the way from a receptionist to putting tables in hotels to waiting, you know, working on factories, all the way to my studies and having the opportunity to come here.
And do you think that's important? Like I've got a couple of my friends from South America as well who, this very good friend of mine, he says that from the age of 13, I've worked in every different industry, not because I had to, but because I wanted to also. Initially, yes, I had to, but then eventually because I wanted to. And that really shapes you.
Absolutely.
In adulthood, as opposed to, like for example, especially being here, what I'm doing with my kids, got teenagers, what they do, I know that they're not working anywhere.
Sure.
Probably they'll be studying till the age of 16, then do the same standard, going to university, everything. But does it really give them life experience, like something you've done?
No, I think it doesn't. And I think the whole school system as well is something to be questioned these days. I mean, I just, again, my personal opinion, I'm questioning whether, you know, going through all this studies process, again, depends who you are as a core. I think as a parent, you need to look at your child and see who they are. They want to be singers, they want to, you know, they do computers, and let them be what they want to be. I think we project a lot in our children what we want them to be, and that's quite a dangerous territory. So it's a difficult question. I think the background you have at home is definitely going to help shape who you are. And it doesn't mean that you need to have money or you need to be suffering to have good character or develop something important. But I think if you have a family around you that gives you love and they are kind and they teach you those basics, empathy, I think is a great beginning process for who you can be, you know. But obviously adversity, being an immigrant, you know, that definitely is a calling because you are not from that place. You have to run, you know, just to be on top, to catch up who is already there and set up, you know.
Do you feel like you're always catching up, or like as an immigrant?
I mean, Brazil is a country, we are all immigrants, right? The majority of the people, especially from the South and the South, we all came from, our history comes from migrating from world wars. So I think everybody built their lives from nothing, and that gave people a good position and background to be able to teach their children what's important in life. You know, when you have nothing, you build something. I think that's really important. When you have money in the bank, it's very easy to build things, but they tend also not to succeed if you. So I think you need life experience. You know, you need to have your own struggles to be able to come out in a better position. So you have your compass is more focused to the real things rather than just money.
Yeah. And what about your parents? What do they think about you now?
So my parents, they separated. I was around 7 or 8. So my mom has been a very good inspiration for me because she was very devoted to learn and go out of Brazil and travel and see different things. So she was given opportunity to work in the United States, so she went for that. I stayed back with my grandparents, which was a blessing. So she traveled all over the world, and I kind of follow her every time I have a holiday. I want to see, and this is how I came here, because she was here already with her husband, and I came on holiday and I felt in love. So she has been a very important support in my life, especially the children. It takes a village.
Oh yes.
You know, with 2 children to be able to work. So she's been a great support, because without her I wouldn't be able to do the things I enjoy.
Yeah. And as moms, we are super women anyway, but then sometimes it's so difficult for us to ask for help, but it's really nice when our family's around, when our mom's around.
That's a great advantage. And she understands, and you know, it's a guilt trip every day, right? I cannot keep up with the school's schedules and parties, you know.
No, but it's there. Even if we keep up, we will have a guilt, right? I mean, I've had moms who are stay-at-home moms who will still have guilt because they feel like whatever they're doing is not enough. I think it's a women thing. Don't you think so?
I commend women that stay at home and look after the kids. They should be awarded like every minute of their lives, because that's the harder thing to do, to raise children, you know. This is a cop-out. I can leave and go to work. But it's true. It's so hard. And I think yes, there's a lot of guilt. Look, it's a big balance, because as women these days, I think there is a need to have some level of independency, financial independency. And I think a lot of women who cannot work or choose not to work or whatever reason it is, sometimes they feel
like they're not contributing,
or they don't feel like if something goes wrong, you know, where do I stand, you know. Dubai, there's a lot of stories of people separating and divorce, and there's a lot of single moms making a living here. So I just wish women were more prepared if they can within their possibility. That's why I say, you know, you have a phone, you have a camera, go out, do something from home. You don't need to leave, you know, start to build a life for yourselves as well, if you want to, of course. But it's just when things go wrong, then they don't have the saving, they don't have a little money out there, so they can rebuild.
Safety net.
Yes, to rebuild their lives. And this is something that I often see on social media, people posting that, you know, something happened, they don't have where to go. And I think we always need to be prepared for the worst, right? Regardless, married, not married. Yeah. We need to be there for our children if things goes wrong.
True. And you do think that financial independence is something that's imperative for women especially, right?
I think we'll give you the freedom to be yourselves. Be yourself. I think that's an important point. I've seen a lot of people that are married and they cannot leave the marriage because they are not financially independent. So if you are in a position that you cannot have a full-time job, or you can work for a few hours, or even build something from home, and it gives you pleasure and potentially you can earn some income, why not do that? Because the minute you have some money tucked away, doesn't matter the amount, it gives you the strength to speak up, to put your voice out there when you need to, and you don't feel that a potential conversation with your husband or a potential decision you need to make is undermined by a financial decision because you're not able to sustain your position. So I think that's very important.
Yeah, and you're right, because it's not something normally people do think about, or at least it's there in the back of their mind, but they don't really connect it in that way, because there are times you will feel inadequate because you feel like you're not bringing enough money on the table, or you don't have anything to fall back on. Oh, what's going to happen? Like people stay in toxic relationships because of that.
100%, yeah.
People stay with their, just stuck forever because of that. It's always the finance part, which is a comfort thing. It's sad that it is, but that's the truth, right?
No, it's the truth, and that's what I'm talking about, because I see this on a daily basis. I have friends that they cannot move because of that financial part. So it's very hard. It's hard to be a single mom. It's hard to work and manage everything else, and school and money. Is impossible. It's difficult, but it's not impossible. So again, find the things that you love to do, and there is always a possibility of creating a business out of that know-how that you have. We all have experience. If you cross the 30 number, there's always something you can tell. Well, there is always something you can say. No, it's hypothesis.
Right?
Yeah, there's always something you can contribute to society, and having that independence will give you the freedom to be who you are. And I think a lot of women, they lose themselves when they don't have the power to talk and have real conversations with the family, peers, even family. I mean, family contributes a lot sometimes to your mental balance, and sometimes it's good to say, you know what, that's my decision. And some people can't say that sometimes, because they depend on the parents or they depend on somebody else. There's nothing wrong to depend. I think, again, is make sure that there is a balance there, that you don't lose who you are because of financial implications, right?
What about, so you've got kids, 2 kids,
Two.
right? How old are they? And
So my little girl, she's 2.5, and my boy is 5.5. Yes.
And are they like mama, very independent?
No, my boy, it's not.
Okay.
He has some development issues, so been working with him now for over 3 years, and he's now in an amazing school who is helping us a lot. So that has been a big challenge in my life. But my little girl, she is mommy on steroids. She is 2.5 going on 10, you know.
Oh my God.
But she takes care of my boy, and you know, she's amazing. She came, I think, you know, to help him, because she's on the takes care of him fiercely. Yes, yeah, she's great.
Sometimes angels come in different
Absolutely,
forms, right?
she's an angel. Absolutely, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And your mom's here, and she's
My mom, she has her own house, and she comes around and help me on almost on a daily basis. She has her work as well. She works as a teacher in the afternoons. So it's the village, and we have a nanny and people around us to support the.
And do you think it's important as women to ask for help?
Oh, 100%.
But we don't most of the times.
You know what I love about Dubai is that it's kind of a village. And I think, again, with social media, we got to a position to get closer and closer to our neighbors and people around us. And I think there's so many women in a similar situation. We all here in the end working, trying to develop a better life. So the communication channels are there like they were not there before. And there are many supporting groups of moms, whether single moms or moms in general, who people every day are, you know, posting and helping. And even if they have a distress situation, I've seen a village coming together to help them. So I think it's amazing what people will do and to help. But I think I think the general problem is we're too worried about what other people think. And at the same coin, on the social media level, you know, the pretty pictures, you know, the happy faces is there, but that's not necessarily is your truth. So if you're always posting on showing that this is your life, why people will even bother to worry about you, right? So it's okay to show that you are going through a different your difficult moment. We all go through it. That's you know, we look at interviews and TV, and you look at people's success. You know, every day is a hustling day. You know.
And also the social media, it's a big thing, because of late, especially for teenagers and youngsters who are growing up, they, like you said in passing some time back, people over 30, let's say, once you cross that 3 mark, we at least know what's the actual truth, what isn't. But young kids out there, they kind of think this is what life should be. You should not have vulnerable moments. You should not, and it's sad for, you know, the whole social media to take over and give us pseudo false impression. It's creating a lot of mental issues too, right?
I mean, you know, we are seeing different generations being brought up in different contexts, right? So now we're in a generation that our children, they wake up with the phones and iPads or whatever it is, regardless of what people are going to say. Oh, I only let my child use on the weekends. It doesn't matter. It's in the school.
Yeah.
You cannot run away. We need to utilize it on the best possible way. But the reality is we're going to have a generation that will be on a virtual reality world. You know, we're going to shop on a virtual reality world. God knows what's coming in the next 10 years. Blockchain, AI. It's going to be a completely different logic, which is going to be the logic to live in at that point of time. So we just need to be less worried about, is it 2 hours enough on the iPad or 5 hours? Let them be and explore what's going to be their future, you know. I think, again, we put a lot of rules on what, you know, the healthy snack and the iPad, and what's the right thing to do, and follow too many trends. Every day there's a new trend, a new thing to do. I cannot cope with that.
No. It's just one thing after the other.
If they are alive by the end of the day and breathing and happy, we've done a good job.
I know. Oh my God, I know that. That struggle.
Absolutely.
Okay. So now, what next for HOT?
Wow, global domination.
Okay, before you get to global domination, do you cater just to the UAE market as of
Yeah,
now?
so now we launched in the UAE, but we already have plans to develop in Egypt, on Turkey, and later on we have a franchise model for Europe, the United States. So this is not a UAE-based only company. This is a global platform. We want to help connect people through the marketplace in different countries. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of work the next 5 years for sure.
Wow. So how does it work now? For example, let's say someone has listed a property of theirs. Do you have staff who go and vet it, or?
No, so again, technology allows people to list the property, they upload the documents. At the moment, they can list for free, and then make that connection direct. There's no cost for anyone involved. Obviously, if they, I know, but obviously if owners, they want to, let's say, take a professional pictures or virtual tours of the properties, and they want certain marketing strategies to, let's say, accelerate the process, then there is, subscription fees they have to pay.
Okay, fine. And so then it becomes easier for you to replicate this across the world.
Sure, and I mean, from this market point of view, we want to give tenants and buyers the ability to find the ideal home and save on that commission. That's number one. And then giving them a platform that they keep coming back to look for services that they're going to require over a period of time at a discounted price as well. So it's an economy of saving logic, which I think everybody wants and needs.
And it's very much needed.
Absolutely.
I'm surprised that such a thing was not there. How did you see it? And what next for you as, personal growth and everything? Plan to make Dubai your base, or you plan
I have a love for this country. I think it has given me a chance to grow and become someone, I hope, better. Having started on this journey, I have discovered a lot of things about myself and what makes me happy. So I'm in a really special place right now. And I just want to really focus on the children and grow the business with the wonderful team that we have and partners, and try to give something back to the community. I think this is really my priority.
All right. And is there any much of Brazilian community here?
Yeah. I mean, again, we are Dubai is the United Nations, right? There's a lot of There's a big community. We have an embassy in Abu Dhabi as well. So, I mean, people get together all the time and, have our local food. And it's so easy to access now, the food as well. The food is so good, I miss that a lot.
But then you don't miss anything else about Brazil.
I mean, having part of my family here makes things easier. I do go home a few.
You've got siblings, or?
Yeah, I have my parents have remarried, so I have siblings from there. New relationships, but my father comes and see me on a yearly basis, so I come down as well. So,
all right.
Yeah.
Okay, so Dubai is home.
Dubai is home, and hopefully forever if I can,
All right, and I hope it remains that way, and that you have lots and lots and lots of successes and heights.
Thank you.
We see more businesses and more such ideas coming from you.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
It was.
I hope to see you guys soon. Yeah.
And how do they find you? HOD.com.
HOD.co, very easy.
Yes, it's HOD.co, and on Instagram they can find you on Cecilia.
Yeah, Cecilia DXB.
Okay.
Very easy as well.
That's where you'll find her. So
yeah.
Thank you so much. Pleasure having
Thank you. Thank you. Pleasure's mine.
So that was Cecilia. You can go follow her on her Instagram page, and also go check out her website, HOD.co. And that's another episode of Women of Arabia. See you in the next.